Hey! Alright, so I've been waiting 16 years for this movie. I love the Blair Witch Project.
Oh yeah, the first one's
Yeah.
legitimately a fucking, effective horror film.
It still holds up for me. The first one, absolutely. I loved it back in 1999, and I still love that movie.
I'm trying to remember, I think I watched it again, like earlier this year, maybe last fall. And it still holds up. It doesn't feel out of place, or like the shines wore off of it. And since it's all practical effects, basically, just people running around scared, it's not oh yeah, it still looks good, but then you get to this part and you're like, wow, that passed for CG. Wow.
That movie gets better and better as the movie goes on. And then a year after that, in 2000, I remember being so excited for Blair Witch 2, to the point to where I was wearing a Blair Witch Project shirt to go see it. I was wearing the one that was the missing sign that had all three of them on it. I was wearing that, and it was, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes into that movie, maybe not even that. It would be the equivalent of the cartoon characters holding up a flag with the maybe it says Blair Witch or something, and the movie starts and just shit. And I remember leaving that movie, that hunk of shit, so mad. That fucking depressing, nihilistic piece of crap, Blair Witch 2. A movie that has good ideas.
Yeah, I like it as a concept.
Me too.
I like, honestly, I like a lot of things about Book of Shadows. The ending, not one of them. But,
no, not at all.
But no, it was doing a really interesting thing, and it did with the complete shift in style, tone, everything. It made for an interesting thing. It seemed very daring for them to do it like that. It's fucking confusing.
To describe the movie, it sounds like a movie that should be good, because the concept of it is rather smart and clever. Somewhere along the way, some studio hands got a hold of that shit, inserted all of this weird random bits of graphic violence and whatever the fuck is going on with the ending of that movie. God damn that fucking movie. And so
I like the clip of one of the guys, I always blank on his name.
Jeffrey Donovan?
Not Jeffrey Donovan, but the other guy who was in it. Pushing his wife or his girlfriend or whoever it was off there, it's bitches, right? Or whatever the fuck he says. I'm that's the movie.
That's what we're in for. And I remember there was going to be a Blair Witch 3, and it was going to be a prequel that was sort of an origin kind of story. And I remember being well, Blair Witch 2 sucked, but I'm still looking forward to the third one. And then Blair Witch 2 bombs. That third one never happened, which made me hate Blair Witch 2 even fucking more.
Although I will say I did, because they really hyped up the band Godhead with their debut album, one of the lead song off that album being
Blair Witch 2,
the track that they used for everything on Blair Witch 2. I'm I ended up buying that album. I like the album a lot.
I didn't get the album. I just wanted to forget that movie existed. And so I've been waiting okay.
Oh yeah, I hated Book of Shadows for fucking years. I revisited it maybe 5-6 years ago, and kind of gave it another shot. I'm it is way better now, without the all right, it's a year later, let's fucking go, let's do this.
I revisited it again long after the first time I saw it, and I still hated it. Largely because of the ending.
But I fucking hate endings like that, where it's well, looks like your guys are the killers.
I hate that shit too.
Pins it on them. It was the same shit that fucking ATM did.
Yeah, I absolutely hate that shit too. I will give a negative review to a movie that I've otherwise until that point liked, if shit like that happens. Maybe not. Maybe I could think of a couple examples where I didn't, but like by and large, it's one of my least favorite kind of endings. So now, 16 years later, a new Blair Witch is out, and honestly, it's for all of its flaws, and it is flawed. I left this movie satisfied. I left this movie thinking, this is what we should have gotten in 2000.
Honest and true, yeah. If this movie had come out a year afterwards, we'd probably have like 7 Blair Witch movies at this point.
Yeah.
They'd be fucking like direct-to-video sequels at this point.
I hope this movie does well enough to where there's more of them. I've been wanting to see more Blair Witch movies for over a decade.
I can really see this one doing well.
I mean, there wasn't that many people in there, but like, how much could this possibly have cost to make?
Yeah, I mean, for everything that happens in this movie, like they could have filmed everything, like principal photography, any reshoots, everything in and out of like 2 weeks. Probably. Like there's nothing that would have held them up. Like everybody's carrying their own camera.
Well, this movie does a lot of stuff really well, especially in the found footage genre. It's interesting how, because honestly, when you break down the story, it easily could have been taking place in like 95 after the events of the first one, but
yeah, they would have had zero trouble making this a period piece.
It's a year later and he's going to look for his sister, you know. But an interesting thing about it being in the present, and it's one of the things that this movie does really well, is incorporating modern camera technology into a movie where they're going into the woods and looking for the Blair Witch again. So because of that, the characters are all wearing these like camera pieces in their ear, so we get to see a lot of POV stuff. There's work with drones and even older cameras with DV tapes.
Yeah, because there's basically 2 sets of people out here like kind of at the same time, and yeah, the other group way less funded.
Yeah.
Like I think I have that same.
That is the camera that I fucking shot. Like Freak Out Cheap and Midnight Heat on. That it absolutely 100% is. Like I recognize that camera. And by the visual quality, whenever it shows their footage of it, I'm like, yeah, that looks about accurate.
That tracks. Yeah, that's not like them like filming it digital and like putting a layer on it like that. That just looks like they filmed it and then just like rendered it up.
Well, honestly, yeah, but like because of the stuff like in their ear, the stuff to where like they're really constantly filming because of this. They're getting their POV because that honestly clears up a lot of like, why are you filming this? Like,
but yeah, like, I mean, since it's
hardcore,
since it's a hands-free thing, it's just an always-on thing. Of course, they're always filming because it's not like them like having to like stand here the whole time, like holding a camera around. Like, it's like, okay, what? Who said that? I don't know. Like no, it's just put it on a little thing, boom.
Yeah,
like that. That's why like that one. Then the first VHS that
with the glasses,
that one segment,
yeah,
that's why that one kind of worked for me. Is like why that was being filmed is like I mean, it didn't make any sense why it was on a anthology called VHS, but
yeah, Jesus.
But it gave it a reason why there was a constant track of film being done. He's wearing the camera. It's not like he's like has to keep like turning it on and off. It's just on. It
makes it a good, honestly, hybrid between feeling like a regular found footage movie and one that's not, because they all have it on their head. So there is cuts between conversations.
And I like that they kind of branch out a little bit too. Like when like it's not until shit starts going kind of weird at like the midway point that like the guy like James
Peter, which one? The main
you
guy.
You will not remember these people's names.
James,
except for James and Lisa, because they get screamed for the entire third act.
That the first one also did magic with that.
It's like, oh yeah, I remember Heather.
You remember that Josh,
and
Mike.
It's like Mike, you kind of forget, but Josh and Heather, you remember.
Mike's easy for me to remember because Mike, she's screaming at him when she sees him standing in the corner at the end of the movie.
But yeah, it's like you will not remember the names. But halfway through the movie though, like they set up when shit's starting to go weird, he sets up a night vision camera, just ties it with a bungee onto the side of this tree to point at their campsite.
Yeah.
Okay, now there's a good spot here while they're talking about changing out the batteries and the SD cards and the headpieces and everything, why there's still video being recorded.
Yeah.
It's yeah, he set up a fucking camera on the tree. But it makes sense. It's not just suddenly he decides oh, hold on, let me go set another fucking camera over here.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It came up with, because that's always one of the biggest things that kind of nags me with a lot of found footage movies is that there's either zero explanation for why they're doing it or such a tenuous it's oh no, we need to I need to make sure what's going on at night, so I'm gonna leave this recording all night, but keep one in your hand just in case if you need a flashlight.
No, this one did a good job
just have a
with
flashlight.
That. Yeah, this one did a really good job with that, especially when they get that grainy camera footage in there at the end when they're going through that house. That's tense as shit, man. Well, this movie honestly gets, for the flaws that this movie has, this movie gets creepy as fuck. This movie, where it counts, you go to a movie like this to be scared, and for that, this movie is scary as hell.
They do a really good job, because it's, on the whole, this is kind of like a New Hope, Force Awakens kind of thing, where it's essentially the same film. They could have easily, if you didn't know the first one existed, you could go into this and completely believe that this was the first one.
You could. Yeah, I think that this movie expands on a lot of stuff. Maybe more than even Force Awakens did. But
yeah, it definitely fills in a couple of the parts of just nagging questions, gives more of a reason behind the whole standing in the corner thing, and gives more of a reason behind it being super confusing. It honestly they're at a point I don't know, they're doing a fucking time warp.
Yeah, I think that was
shit.
something they maybe incorporated in from Blair Witch 2, which I'm fine with it. As much as I don't like that movie, fine. That movie did establish there could be some weird time manipulation and alternate kind of realities.
Yeah, somebody would
on.
step off to the side and come back. It's
yeah.
It's oh hey, what's up guys? It's you've been gone for days. It's
yeah. Just
okay.
in Hypercube.
Oh, Hypercube.
This is a way better movie than that. But there's, when the movie starts out, you're seeing a lot of familiar stuff. You're seeing the stuff.
Yeah, by and large, the first half is almost like they could have just used the exact same script as an outline, because there's the whole getting to know the people, going around picking them up,
the rocks,
even explaining the camera gear, okay, we got this, and then getting drunk in hotels on the way there. There's a lot of points that it makes sure to hit, but it feels I mean, these are similar things, but I'm not going to gripe about it too much, because those are things that are natural to happen in this situation. And
when it starts out, you start seeing things that you saw in the first movie, the rocks being piled up, the noises in the middle of the night, them circling around. And this is maybe in the first half hour or more. And at first I'm is it? I mean, I'm interested in what's going on, but I hope this isn't just kind of just doing the same. No, it does.
because there are definitely points where like you kind of forget that it's a sequel, and then like he'll remind us like it's like yeah, I mean
my sister.
I hope
Heather.
we can find my sister Heather. It's like right sequel.
Yeah. But like no, she does, the Blair Witch does more crazy shit in this, but not so much so to where it's out of place from what we saw in the first movie.
Yeah, a lot more active in the spooky shenanigans, but still not like walking up center stage.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's
it's The Conjuring or something like that.
It's not the difference between John Carpenter's The Thing and The Thing prequel. Like, it's like
the other thing. They need to figure that name out.
Yeah, it honestly feels like she's doing a little more kind of spooky, weird house stuff in this because a lot of stuff is just simply more expanded on. They spend a lot more time in that house in the last act of this movie, and also there's something that they add with the little twig figures that they put up, which is an amazing scene in the movie that freaked my shit out. That
legitimately caught me out of fucking nowhere.
That was for me the point where this movie got really good.
Because I mean, it was that kind of thing. Like it's like until then it had my curiosity. After that, it had my attention.
Chalice in hand and everything.
Because I mean, up to that point, like I say, like it's pretty much like paint by numbers, going by the same notes from the first one, and then it shows us that like, oh, but there are some new tricks in this. Like it's not just like, and then somebody kicks the fucking map into the goddamn river.
Yeah,
it's oh, that's new.
It's not.
And then all bets are off after that, because then it's like now that we've gotten to this point and shown you got you comfortable.
Yeah.
Then it just like immediately like just shoots straight up.
We're gonna drop a tree on a motherfucker, and this girl's gonna pull this twig shit out of her foot. It's gonna be really gross and creepy.
I couldn't tell if that was a twig or if it was like it looked like a feather, but it happened so goddamn fast, and they never dwelled on it. They never went back to it. It's just like she pulls this thing out, and it's like whatever the fuck that was, and then drops like, and then like rolls her like leggings back down. It's like, all right, I guess we're done with that.
Jesus, Finito. The finale in the house at the end like works like crazy. If you go see this movie and you're at all claustrophobic,
yeah, you will have some definite goddamn issues.
Yeah,
I mean, and not even just in like the really claustrophobic parts, just like that house is it's so confining.
And they're shooting it at this point, like a lot of it's still being shot on some of the head stuff, but they're shooting some of that shit with that old DV camera. I mean, and it looks like a snuff film, man.
Looks like they're about to walk in on some hard shit happening.
Yeah. And God, like that girl has some amazing, like scared faces at the end of this. Like, you need someone with a good scream and a good scare face for a movie like this, and that girl's got it.
She's probably still sore, like, in the throat at this point in her life after filming it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the sort of shit, like, and that's a wrap. It's like,
oh, yeah.
It's like someone get her a lozenge.
But I mean, the movie has, it's not a perfect film. The movie does have some flaws. But first off, before I get into that, I do recommend this.
Oh, I highly recommend this.
Yeah.
And plus, like, you'll get to experience the fun things like we experienced tonight, being able to walk up to like the ticket counter and say, "Hi, I would like 1 ticket for Blair Witch, please." Yeah. I haven't said that since I was 16.
I was 18 when it came out, and we saw it. This theater wasn't here yet, so we saw it over at Parkway, and that was a packed house when we saw that. We saw that on like an afternoon, like a Friday or Saturday afternoon, like when it came here to Springfield. Because I think it had maybe been out for a couple weeks by the time it came to Springfield. Maybe, if I remember right.
I remember, yeah, I remember when I went to see it. It was in Effingham, and of the two theaters there, the old school one didn't have it, but then there was one at the little mall that they have there that had two screens, and it was on one of the screens there. But yeah, it was maybe like a couple weeks after it first came out, because I remember another girl in my class, like she went with like her boyfriend or something to like Decatur or somewhere to watch it at a theater there, like a week or two before it came to town.
I remember people in school being so disappointed by that movie. I was never one of those people. Like, I realized that, like, you know, the term hype and the Blair Witch Project pretty much go hand in hand with each other. But no, that movie, I was still sold on.
I remember a lot of the
then.
People that were still like at the time, like, it's like, no, legit, it's like, this is real.
I never thought that, because I was like, oh hell, I was 18 when it came out, so I wasn't gonna think, oh wow, they're releasing a snuff film to theater.
Yeah, I was gonna. Like, at that point, you owned a copy of Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like I've seen this before, just in the jungle. In daytime.
So I kind of have a feeling that this movie.
But didn't they run the first one like no credits? Like they didn't run credits after it. I seem to remember.
It did.
I couldn't remember if it was one that they did that or not. I know I've seen at least one before where it's just like, yep, that's the end of the movie. Oh. And then cut to house lights. I'm like,
oh no, Blair Witch had it had credits when we went to, because that Blair Witch music like kicked in, and kind of actually pretty much the same as what it did here.
Okay, yeah, it has been half of my life ago.
It's crazy. It's been that long.
Yeah, let that sink in.
Jesus. I'm getting used to the, like, what a year or so ago is when I had to get used to the fact that I remember things that happened 30 years ago. like people watching like Stranger Things and like I'm like, I remember that.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
We had those cups. I had those sheets that Mike has.
Yeah.
I did. My mom probably still does.
They probably dig those out next to my old handheld Tiger games.
Oh man,
my Donkey Kong Jr. Tiger game. Fuck yeah. Now this, certainly one cool thing about it is what they use with a lot of the camera technology in here, especially in making it feel realistic that all this stuff is getting filmed. But with that, this, and believe me, I'm glad they did it like this, but with that, like, this is a found footage movie that has better cinematography than most other horror movies we've seen this year.
It has better cinematography than some of the non-horror films we've seen this year. Jason Bourne.
Yeah, fuck. Right? Exactly.
And this was people wearing the cameras, and it was less shaky.
This is a movie, and this is another thing I like about this too. Like, this movie is great at showing you that, you know, the woods is a pitch black place. Like, so
like, that's what I hate a lot of movies with. Like, it's like, oh man, it's all dark out here in the woods. It's like, you can you can see just fine. Like look at any Friday the 13th movie. It is like it's still like early evening at midnight in the woods around Crystal Lake.
And I like that about this movie.
Yeah, it's just pitch fucking black.
And you can still tell what's going on, because I mean, they had their flashlight. You can still tell what's going on here versus fucking Jason Bourne.
There were fight scenes at night in Jason Bourne on in the middle of the street, and I still couldn't tell what the fuck was happening. And
Jesus.
These are people like falling around and tumbling over, dropping the camera, picking it back up and putting it back on their head, and it was still way easier to track.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, not even half, like 90% of this movie is like first person POV from like a head angle, and it was less nauseating.
Yeah, I was perfectly fine with that. Like
everybody that was going on about it's like, oh man, like they have to put like warnings in front of like hardcore Henry because it'll upset people, like it'll trick your equilibrium, you get like motion sickness. Like, no, no, have the camera going erratic and like strapped to somebody's knee during a fight scene. Okay, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Because, like, the camera work is pretty good in this film, a lot of it, especially there in the beginning, like, when it's kind of setting everything up, it does feel like you're watching a movie, whereas in the Blair Witch Project, like, yeah, they're shooting it on, like, 90s cameras and stuff like that, but one thing about Blair Witch Project that makes it feel really authentic is how much freedom they had to improvise in those movies.
Yeah.
Like, it made them feel like real people that are fucking lost in the woods.
Well, because as I recall, like, they didn't even really have, like, a script. They had, like, here's the notes for today. Like, we just need you to film some footage of, okay, this is day 3 in the woods. You're pissed at Mike and Josh. Josh, just fucking act like an asshole.
Yeah.
Mike, I don't know, be there.
Kick the map in the fucking river.
And that's like the most that they got. And then there's like, okay, fucking film.
And it gave it a level of authenticity to it.
'Cause yeah, it felt less like the movie you were supposed to see, and it felt more like when we're like filming something and like in between like the actual takes when we're just pissing around.
Yeah. This one though does feel scripted. Like, and maybe they did have some freedom to kind of improvise in this, but by and large, it feels like it's scripted.
But yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of, because like in the first one, none of them were like trained camera people, nothing like that. But like this one, like it definitely feels like every time it pans over to somebody, like there's a certain level of like blocking that's been done. Like it's like, okay, like the black guy will be like it'll turn on him and he'll be like dead to frame and then like walk a set pace and then it'll like slide to like a 2-shot like. So is the person who's filming this just staring vaguely in between them? Or it's like, is he trying to make sure that he angles his head? Because he doesn't know how these shots are lined up, and you're aiming with your ear, not like your actual line of sight here. So all of the footage should be like having a dialogue and like the person standing like on this side of frame or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the big gripes that I had with the whole earpiece camera thing. Is like that one girl, the black girl, I don't fucking know what her name was.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But she's like, oh, I'll put on this earpiece, and like puts it on and then like fluffs her hair, and then it's just like a shitload of curly hair just spills over her, just like framing her face, and it looks very nice. And conceals her ears completely. It's like that's fucking pointless to give her one of those.
I completely missed that
like
she
the
did
two
that.
guys, it made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
okay.
you'd have a lot of footage that also includes like a big like shiny spot on one side where it's catching the side of their face.
Well, they've got like 48 plus some hours to sift through. You can take out that part.
Also, the fucking lifespan on those batteries in that thing.
Well, that's one thing that
I mean, they do, like, at a point say, like, oh, okay, hold on, let me switch over the batteries. But that's after they've been filming for almost, like, 36 continuous hours.
I'll give that. At this point, like, I'll give that to found footage movies.
I mean, granted, like I believe that those would have a way better lifespan than, like, in the first movie, carrying around that giant fucking brick. I mean, she would be switching that out, like, once an hour.
Yeah.
I know that for a fucking fact.
There is...
That thing would not have... Like, one of them would have had to have an extra backpack that was just full of, like, 300 pounds of those fucking batteries.
To shoot 12 hours worth of footage.
Well, yeah, that'd get them through the day.
But speaking of that Peter character, there is some insufferable shit.
God damn it, that guy is fucking obnoxious.
Really just kind of in the first half hour or so, but I mean, boy, talk about a character where you're like, you're gonna be the first one to go.
He's like the main guy's best friend, but he is so fucking intolerable.
I didn't know why he was there.
It doesn't make sense why this guy is friends with anyone.
No, and it didn't make sense why he was there either.
He reminded me of, like, he's the guy that you run into at a bar and you're like, you talk to him because he's already drunk and so fucking loud that you don't want to start shit because you know he'll like follow you back to the table you're sitting at.
This guy is constantly starting arguments. He is making fun of the local people to their face.
Mocking the two people who are supposed to be helping them like find where they're going because they're actually like from there.
And he's flipping his shit when he can't build his tent, which again I was like, why are you here?
Yeah,
like, goddamn, this guy is insufferable.
Everybody else like pops up their tent in like 2 fucking seconds, and this guy's like breaking shit and flipping shit over, like he's trying to put this tent together the same way you'd see in like a terrible like sitcom.
Yeah,
where
my
it's
God.
like there should have been like some like nagging like Patricia Heaton like standing off to the side. It's like should I just call a hotel? Laugh track.
And once shit starts happening in this, about half hour plus or more into the movie, he runs out of time to be a douchebag anymore, and he's not in it much later after that.
Unfortunately, he has a bad case of being the black guy in a horror movie.
You cross that with the fact that he's the black guy in a horror movie and the obnoxious one in the horror movie. Like, dude, you're lucky you made it 40 minutes in. Like, you're lucky this movie's a slow burn. And
they don't really show it, but you know that those two probably definitely fucked like 2 feet away from everyone else they know in the goddamn woods. They're that couple as well.
Yeah.
He hit all the broad strokes of like, well, you're gonna die. I mean, I'm sorry.
He never got as insufferable as that guy from The Gallows.
Right, yeah.
But
that's a pretty high mark to hit.
And that guy was like in all of that movie. In this,
he was the main character in that movie.
Fuck. In this, you have to put up with a little bit of douchebaggery, and he's gone.
Yeah, this guy's kind of a dick, but he's not like 5 minutes into the movie call somebody a fag or something like that. Like, I remember The Gallows, that happened. Like, wow.
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck.
We're stuck with this guy for another 90 minutes.
God. There is also a lot of jump scares in this.
I like that, though, at a point, like, the last girl, like, she actually calls the movie out on that, though.
No, she does.
Which I found that refreshing.
She was like, stop doing that.
But yeah, every time somebody comes into frame, and I'm sorry, even together, we have been in the woods I don't know how many fucking times.
At least once a year when we go on our camping trip.
And you know what you can always tell when you're in the woods? When someone's walking up to you. Because the woods aren't very, very fucking quiet.
Well, when this happens in the movie, it's like, no, this isn't Paranormal Activity. This is Blair Witch. Stop doing that. Like, granted, it never does it as much as the last several Paranormal Activity movies did.
Yeah, it's got that, like, audible like rumble noise so that you know it's about to get a spooky.
But there were parts in the movie where I was thinking some really like kind of inventive scare was about to happen because they lead up to some tension and then jump scare.
They're constantly doing the thing where like some crazy shit will happen, and then they'll have like the two characters who are together look directly at each other, and they'll keep doing like back and forth like profile shots, but like one person's view is just slightly like they'll be like right here, and there's just all this like open space next to them. Like it's like, well, something's gonna happen next. No. Like,
yeah,
I kept waiting for like something to like fall from the goddamn sky or something.
I mean they do the whole jump scare thing, like again, not as more than I would like in a movie like this, but not not enough to where it was like every 30 seconds of the movie. Not like we're watching like Paranormal Activity 4 or some shit like that. But
yeah, most of the scares in this movie, especially early on, come from just people not paying attention to the surroundings.
Like in front of the camera, you hear the loud noise. It's like what you see, like a jump scare in a Paranormal Activity film, which whenever that happens in the movie, which again is really only a handful of times, but it's frustrating when you're expecting a more inventive scare to happen in a couple of sequences. But again, like in the last half hour of this movie, they really all but lose that.
Yeah. Once they get it, like, once they get to the point where there's actually scary shit happening, they stop doing that just for, like, convenience to keep people on their toes.
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, like, the part where, like, the main character calls them out on it, like, she's standing there, like, looking at, like, this one camera that's linked up to, like, her like, phone or tablet or something. So she looks down at it so you can see, like, herself, and you're expecting, like, oh, man, she's gonna see something behind her. And no, like, somebody walks in from, like, beside her. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like you're...
this sick girl, like, here, just lay back down. And as soon as she, like, okay, she's laid back down, she takes one step back, and then somebody from beside her, ow! Ow!
Yeah, that's like you're expecting a slightly more inventive scare to happen with a setup like that.
Yeah, like, see something behind her weird. She spins around. It's not behind her. What? But no, it's just like people just keep coming in from, like, the side of, like, the angle she can't see through her lens. And yeah, like, whenever, like, this, like, that happens the second time within the course of, like, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, Jesus, people, stop doing that.
Speaking of that character, though, like, when you have that much wrong with your foot, don't climb a tree to go get a drone that's on top of it.
That drone part was just obnoxious anyways. Like, it didn't, like, you're going into a dense forest and you're going to bring a drone with you. That just was...
I understood the logic behind that.
Well,
like,
I mean, I understand, like, the idea of, like, this could make for, like, something useful.
Yeah.
And then they get out there to the woods, and it's so goddamn dense above their heads. Like, in some shots, like, you can't even tell if it's, like, morning or night. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, that's not going to work out so well. And they even cover the fact that, like, oh, yeah, its range is pretty limited.
Which, I mean, they only use it twice in the movie.
Because they lose it immediately.
Yeah. But I understand their reasoning for bringing that with them.
It seems like the sort of thing that, like, you would bring with you and you would haul around the whole fucking trip, and then somebody would bitch at you when you're going back, like, wow, so glad that we brought this extra fucking case.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they end up losing it fairly quickly, but the girl ends up climbing a tree to get the drone, which is stuck up in the tree at this point, and they set up a lot of stuff with this girl's foot. Like, it gets to the point where I'm like, is it gonna get into some weird shit? Like, her bones are gonna be replaced with, like, tree branches and shit?
That's
like,
what I was fucking wondering, if that's what they were going towards.
And they don't. They set up this thing
which
where
is a weird thing to think in this movie.
But that would have been cool.
That's like where they lead you to believe they're going.
Yeah.
Like they're crossing this river that, like, there's some, like, story through all of these where they mention that, like, somebody went missing in this river and she gets like this huge gash on her foot, and so she's hobbling the rest of the movie. But, like, so many times, like, she'll, like, twist her ankle or step weird, and it's like this, like, super loud, like, bone cracking sound. Like, I thought she broke her leg, like, 5 different occasions in this movie, and no, it's just like that was the sound it would make when she, like, slipped on a rock.
Well, it was
she,
also,
like, hit the ground, like, oh fuck, she just snapped her goddamn leg, and she's like, no, sorry, I lost my footing, and she'll get back up and start walking. I'm like, it was like this bone cracking, or maybe it's twigs snapping, and that, like I said, like, it leads you to on that path. Plus, like, at a point, they're looking at her cut, and, like,
it made that sound when there was something.
Yeah, like nothing was going on. Like, it was just her foot sitting there, and you hear, like, that kind of crackle sound, and then you kind of see, like, it kind of like the cut, like, kind of, like,
was creepy.
Punches out a little bit, and it's like, what the fuck is in her goddamn foot? Well, that's dropped immediately. They never go back to
Well, she pulls some shit out of her foot, but they quickly get rid of this character because they make her climb up this tree.
Yeah, like, when shit starts going real crazy, like, that's when, like, she notices, like, a cut on, like, her ankle.
Yeah.
But it's on the same leg where like that cut was on her foot, and like, yeah, like, she pulls out like it's like a feather or something.
Yeah,
or maybe she's like a stick. Like, I don't know. It's so hard to tell because like so literally just pulls it out, drops it, and then she's like whatever, and starts walking again, and then climbs a tree.
Yeah, just so, it was really that
Like,
that story was anticlimactic.
It felt like maybe they did some more and it didn't test well, so they just chopped it up.
So you could have a scene where you could have the POV shot of her falling from a tree. That's really kind of what that seemed like it was there for. So you can get that camera POV of falling from this really high tree, and it's well shot, but
and again, like it sets up the idea like you're gonna see like a more inventive thing happen, because like she finds this drone and she has the control pad for the drone, which has like it's like a touch screen, so you can see what you're filming while you're flying. And she finds it and she's like trying to control it, and you can kind of see from the angle of the drone on it. And I'm like, okay, well maybe she's gonna get closer and she'll see like shit behind her, but they don't. And then as she's climbing up the tree, it starts going back and forth angles from her headset piece to the drone filming her climbing the tree. And I'm like, well maybe they're gonna film something cool with that. And then no, like eventually she just, while she's trying to get the drone, she just like whoop, falls off the fucking tree.
It just made that character really dumb.
Like I said, it almost like with the weird shit that they were doing, it made it feel like they were doing something else and that didn't work out, so they just dropped it completely. But some of that stuff you have to leave in there because you can't snip around all of it.
Well, I can handle that studio note better than I can all the shit they gave them to put into Blair Witch 2. Because this movie, aside from all of that, like this movie, where it counts, it absolutely works to the point to where, like I said, this movie gets like so tense to where like you have, or at least me anyway, had trouble breathing in certain parts of it. Like this movie gets fucking raw at the end of this film.
Yeah, once it hits like full on into the third act, like there's a lot of like holding your breath style moments, because at this point like they've shown a few new things that are way past what they did in the first one.
Yeah.
And it really like it takes away that sense of comfort you felt early on, where it's like, okay, well, eventually they're going to open up the tent. There's going to be like, oh no, there's like a bloody tongue or something laying outside. Nope. Just, tent's flying up into fucking space.
Yeah, that worked.
All right.
That worked.
This is
like,
new. Trees getting knocked down. I was not aware that was going to happen.
The movie was a good build. It wasn't like
the shit with what those dolls are for.
Yeah.
That'll get you.
Oh god, it wasn't like I was sitting there like, this movie isn't working for me, and then it gets good in the last act. It wasn't like that. Like it had a good build. I was always enjoying it. Like even the flaws I had, I was still invested in what's going on, and it had a good build to where it's like, it's intriguing, and then it's suspenseful, then it's really suspenseful, and then it's just downright terrifying. But
yeah, I mean, it like I say, like, it lulls you, because it'd be like if in like the like in the swing of like the Friday the 13th movies, it's like, oh well, it's okay, it's Jason, like he's stalking towards them now, like big lumbering walks everywhere Jason. But then like it'd be like if all of a sudden he just like grew like fucking spider legs and like scuttled after you like he's the fucking thing or something. It's like ha, did not know that. Changes everything now.
That was another thing I liked about this, is the random freaky shit that you see in the background in this fucking movie. When they're going through that house at the end, and there's some just fucking, I don't know what, on the wall in the background. Like, Jesus Christ. And it's even better that it's that fucking gritty-ass camera that they're using for that.
Like, yeah,
The hell was this? In an ice cream truck? You want some freedom, boss? Why, yes.
Don't do it, man. It's a trap. It's Clint Howard, the ice cream man.
Yeah. No, you have flies in there.
But no, like that house, like once they had it all done up and ready to start filming, like that just had to be unnerving for the crew even.
Yeah.
Like that's the sort of thing, like you do all that and then it's like all right, everybody come outside, we're gonna take like a lunch, and it's like, hold on, I forgot something inside, and you step back in and you're like, fuck it, I'll get it after lunch. Like,
Yeah.
I know that, me, Tim, and Mike did all this shit, but fuck you, I'll be outside.
I don't want to be in Ed Gein's house anymore.
But yeah, like,
Who put that meat hook there?
that place is fucking terrifying. Although there were a couple things that were super confusing to me with it. Like, whenever they get there, at this point, we're basically down to James and Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this because the rest of the dialogue in the movie is basically just James and Lisa.
Yeah.
But he, like, homeboy decides to run into the house on his own, and he's like searching around in there, like doing his whole thing for probably like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally cuts back to her, and she's still just standing outside staring at the house in the rain. It's like,
I bought that.
Standing there locked still.
I wouldn't want to go in there.
Well, I wouldn't want to be standing out in the fucking open either.
After there was a ghost in the window upstairs, I'd be like, you know what? I'll take my chances with the lightning for a little while.
At least stick together. But like, well, at that point too, like they see like a flashlight go past one of the windows, and homeboy is like, "It's Heather. It's my sister. I gotta go." It's like,
that is definitely not your sister.
there's zero chance that.
I did like that moment though, where he was like,
There's like some 40-year-old woman who's been living in the woods for a decade and a half, just wandering around upstairs with a flashlight. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I mean, like, I liked that moment though, because he does have that moment when he says, like, look, this is exactly why I'm here. I have to do this.
Which, it made sense thematically for the character. It didn't make any fucking sense that he'd be like, no, I'm gonna run into this creepy ass spooky house in the fucking woods.
It's not something I would have done, but following this character along through this movie, I bought that. I bought that him under that condition after all that shit happened, and that is why he's there. I got it.
But that's what bugs me, though, with Lisa deciding to stay outside, is because every other moment, think about it, every other moment during this movie where something spooky's happened, like that, she is standing right next to him. Or like, there's an entire scene where, like, for like 10 minutes they're walking through the woods, like they're the only, like they don't know where anyone else is, that they don't like stop holding hands, like while they're walking, like in a straight line, like holding like hands, like, you know, like. So it didn't make sense for her to suddenly be like, you know what, there is a line for me. I'll just be out here on my own.
If there is a line for anyone in this movie, though, it's that house. Like, I kind of get... I don't know what I would have done in that situation if I was her, but
it felt to me like it was like, well, we need a reason for them to be split up, but not looking for each other yet.
Well, I buy that from a writing standpoint. Yeah,
I mean, it seemed like I said, like for the progression her character had made, or I guess regression to being like very codependent on him throughout all of this. It just seemed super weird that like when they got to like the even spookiest thing yet, that you'd be like, I'm cool. I'll just wait out here. Let me know when you're done, I guess.
I kind of get that. I do. I sort of do get like, look, I mean, yeah, maybe a tree will fall on me, but I don't know what kind of Uncle Creepy is in there, but I know it's some form of Uncle Creepy is inside that thing.
And then it turns out Uncle Creepy's outside.
Yeah. No, his clown makeup's gonna get washed off.
She chose poorly.
I would have liked to have... it made me look forward to a follow-up to this movie, because I would have liked it to have gone on from about 5 or 10 minutes longer than the movie did. Look, a movie like this is going to end abruptly, and this one does.
But yeah, it would...
But it didn't make me pissed. It made me more like... now I want to see what happens next.
They come up with an interesting thing at the end. The entire time, though, I'm sitting there like, that's a stupid fucking plan. You're a goddamn idiot.
When she was looking at I would have done the exact same thing.
Well, okay, so partway through the movie, like, one of the local guys kind of mentions to him, like, it's like, yeah, there's, like, this legend about, like, the witch. Like, they say, like, if you look right at her, you'll drop dead of fright immediately. and they kind of like figure out like, okay, well that's the whole like standing in the corner thing is like, like if you're not looking at her, you're okay. Mm-hmm. Which does kind of work for a little bit.
Yeah, no, it does.
Except for the point that she has looked directly at the witch like 4 times at this point.
But herself or through the camera? Oh, herself.
Well, because she had one of the wearable cameras on. Yeah. So if it was in front of her,
I meant more so like looking at the handheld that she had.
But yeah, no, like it gets to this point where like you know, she decides like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll hold the camera up to myself, basically kind of how we're filming right now, flip the screen, and I'll just walk backwards. I'm like, it's like, this seems like you're getting out of this on a technicality. Like, it's like, oh, I got this curse where
I would have tried that.
I got this curse where if you look at me, you'll die. Like, that's the only way I can get you if you look at me. But I don't understand technology.
I would have tried that.
What's this witch's magic?
Would have. I honestly would have tried that. It seemed, from what I gather, like, there are a lot of points where the witch is just kind of scuttling across the room and whatnot. It seems to me in a situation like that, like, the thing's not going to scuttle across the room and all of a sudden you're just going to keel over and die from fright. Like, I've always taken that more so as, like, if the thing is just fucking staring daggers at you right in the face, like, you're probably going to have a fucking heart attack. Like, I don't...
The way that thing looked, like, I would have probably just peed and then died.
That's how I always thought of that. Like, you'll look and stare at that and you'll just fucking shit yourself to death. More so that, unless...
He died like he lived. Yeah. Shitting himself.
More so that, unless, like, you know, they're the fucking things from Blink. Or, like, what's some other... You know, any other horror movie where it's like, don't look at the monster or he'll kill you. Isn't that what the trailers for The Apparition?
Don't look back that way or you'll turn into a pillar of salt.
The best Stephen King book. The Bible. So many twists.
Did not see that giant whale coming.
Would have thought suddenly there's a freaking giant whale and then he lives inside of it for a while.
You know, like Pinocchio.
Yeah, with Geppetto and Figaro and Cleo and the whole gang is in there.
It's my favorite part of the you know, game Kingdom Hearts, when you step into the Bible stories and live inside the whale for a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
But
best.
But yeah, like I mean, it makes sense to try, and at that point, like, literally, what else do you have to try? But the whole time, like, I'm sitting there like, you're a fucking goddamn idiot. Especially because she's in an attic. The next thing she's gonna have to do is walk down the stairs, terrified out of her mind, fucking crazy shit going on, making sure not to look in any direction, and go down the stairs backwards.
I have gone down the stairs in much more complicated positions than that. I've gone down...
The back of a Volkswagen?
Yeah. I've gone down the stairs, like, drunk, probably backwards, possibly holding a giant camera. As long as you can kind of see the stairs behind you, like, you'll be fine. Worst thing that's gonna happen is, like, maybe she gets out of that house, she's gotta go get a tetanus shot.
But yeah, like, my thing is, like, so you're just gonna walk backwards out of the woods? But, like, I don't see where this plan could possibly take you. But, I mean, I grant I understand. I think it would have been actually, like, an interesting thing if she, like, got all the way outside of the house, like backs out the front door and, like, looking at the little screen, it's like, oh, it's daytime, turns around. Mm-hmm. Bitch, no!
Yeah, that would... Yeah, I would have liked that better, too, as opposed to, like, they kind of do the same thing where it's like, it's the found footage movie, she gets hit upside the head, the camera keels over, and then it's the end of the movie.
Yeah, you wait for maybe something, like, drop down, like, it's like, and then Bagul picks up the camera.
Oh, God, thank God that didn't happen. Fuck! Oh, thank God that didn't happen.
And then you see the Bye-Bye Man.
Yeah, just like, yeah, the Blair Witch is the Bye-Bye Man, and oh, thank God that didn't happen. And Jesus Christ.
Although Letty brought up a very good point once they got into the attic, because something weird happened, and I don't know what the fuck it was supposed to signify.
What?
Well, they end up running into each other. They're scared out of their minds. They run into a door, and then they look around like, wait, how are we in the attic now?
Oh.
And they're like, okay. And then, like, because, like, the walls are, like old, like, horsehair plaster over, like, slats. So they're all taken out. So it's kind of like the stripped-down room that they have in, like, Hellraiser. And all of a sudden, like, light starts coming in between all the slats. And, like, just the whole room starts filling with light. And then it, like, fades down the wall. And, like the guy looks out the window, and presumably he saw what it was, because then they kind of freak out a little bit more. And it's like,
with that much light shining through that, I doubt he saw anything.
But, like, he kind of, like, he definitely, like, it's like reacted weird. He looked out the window.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
Granted, this is not a normal thing. But, like, it was so out of place. And
the part with the light?
Yeah.
I had no problem with that.
Well, because, but here's the thing. Have you seen the movie The Lost Coast Tapes?
No.
You should.
Like, should or should?
It's a found footage movie about Bigfoot.
Oh, then okay. Yeah, you're right. I do need to see that. I am no joke, I am a sucker for watching Bigfoot movies.
But the last line in that movie, because, like, all of a sudden, like, light starts coming in all over the place, and the dude looks out the window and he starts screaming, "It's not Bigfoot! It's not Bigfoot!" And it turns out it's like the devil or something.
The Jersey Devil.
And like, that's exactly how Letty read it too. Like, all that light started coming in, and she leans over, she's like, "It's not the Blair Witch! It's not the Blair Witch!" But, like, I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, is it the fucking devil from the Lost Coast tapes? Is it aliens? This is like, what the fuck is, like, it just, I don't know, it was such an odd thing. But, like, after seeing, like, all that light, that's why I was thinking, like it'd be such a good idea to have her, like, actually get outside, and, like, since the witch has, like, the ability apparently to manipulate space-time.
That's what I mean. It's like this is a witch.
Think it would have been really cool for it to be like a shower of daylight upon her.
Yeah,
and, like, the thing.
No, I agree with that. I agree that would have made a better ending. But in terms of the light that was shining through, I mean, this is a witch that's already proven she can alter reality and space and time and different levels of a house and
it's
all of this. I can buy that she can also make a bunch of lights come through the...
Well, I know, but it's just, I don't know, it was just such a weird thing, because there wasn't any, like, there wasn't anything prior to that made us, like, that, like, lead us, like, oh, that's a thing. Like it wasn't like light kept rippling through the house, like, intermittently during that whole last section. It was just in that one scene.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, again, like I said, I mean, this is a being that can make 5 days last for one people and make 12 hours last for another. I mean, and also can have essentially voodoo dolls out of twigs and rope and alter different levels of a house. So
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, like, it's, like, outside the realm of, like, things that, sure, that's another thing that she can do.
Yeah.
But it just, there wasn't anything that led up to that or, like, was done with it, so it just felt like a really weird one-off that just happened.
If there is to be more of these movies, seems like the kind of thing that you'll see a lot more of.
Like something like that, like maybe it's an intriguing thing that they could build onto. But as it is right now, it seemed like one of those weird things, like with the thing poking around in her foot. It's like, what was that? Let's never go back to that again.
A difference there is that, like, the thing with her foot really did seem like it was leading somewhere. The stuff with the lights in the house was just to add to intensity. Like, the thing with the foot, it's like, wow, this is a lot of time devoted to leading to where this might end up somewhere cool. And that part really didn't. She just falls out of a tree.
But like, if I don't know, I guess for me, if it had seemed like more natural light, like maybe they got up there and then like it just like because that's where I thought it was going at first, like brighten up, like oh, it's daytime,
Aliens.
we're safe.
I mean, well, I thought that too. I thought like I was expecting at some point they're gonna go out there and it's gonna be daylight. I was too, and yeah, that would have made for a much cooler ending.
Because yeah, it, like just like that kind of like lull, like it's like oh good, we're safe, and like one of them like, gets fucking pulled through the roof. Or
Jesus
something.
Christ, yeah. Oh, I would have enjoyed the hell out of that. As it is, I mean, it just kind of she gets thwacked and she dies, but that whole 20 minutes or so leading up to that is some pretty fucking terrifying shit. The shit in the tunnel and the weird shit that's just running across there, the things you see in the background up in the roof, like that stuff works. I mean, it really keeps you in suspense for that.
Although I did like it as soon as the girl started running around in the house, though, like after she got that old camera, picked it up to use it, because there was no reason that she was carrying it except for the fact that it had a flashlight on it. So I was fine with the fact that she she lost her her flashlight, but she managed to get a hold of that camera, which had one. I'm cool with that, and it was already filming. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
But yeah, after she started running around in the house, like as soon as that happened, like she got that camera, I'm like, oh, she filmed the footage we saw at the beginning.
Oh, I was fine with that. Like that again. Like I do as much as I hated the second movie.
Because I kind of thought that was gonna happen. Like as soon as like she looked over and
same here.
Like before she went in the house, when she realized like, oh, that's that tree we saw.
But I'm glad. What I am glad about that, because I figured that was gonna happen too. But what I am glad about that is that you notice when that reveal happens, you notice it, and then the movie just kind of goes along. It's not like
it doesn't like linger on it, like her like going up, like wait, no, this tree, no, it can't be this tree.
I enjoyed that about that, to where it felt like it was just kind of a very natural reveal that happened, because this girl has way more other stuff on her mind.
She's got bigger shit to worry about.
Oh yeah, totally. But I think that even people who were maybe disappointed by the first one might honestly take to this a little. I'm not saying I like this movie better than the first one, but I think there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that make me think, like, I wonder if a lot of this is kind of what some people pictured in their head when they heard the concept of the first movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, like, you almost have to wonder, like, with some of it, like, it's like, is this a thing that they wanted to do, and they just did not have an ability to do this? Like, some of that stuff, like running the tents up into the trees,
and like, even a lot of the crazy shit that happens in the house at the end.
Yeah, it's like for what they had, like, basically 3 actors and like the writer, director, producer, editor. Yeah, it's like they didn't have like they didn't have a huge crew to work with. Yeah, and like almost no fucking budget. Like, didn't he make the movie for like fucking like $20,000 or some shit?
Something like that. So that was like $1999. It's like $5 million. I found a ticket stub the other day, and my dad brought over some old stuff of mine from his place, and there was just random stuff, I guess, that he found in my old room back in Chatham, and one of the things randomly in there was a ticket stub for Halloween H2O.
I saw that one in theaters too.
Apparently I paid $4 to go see it.
These fucking ticket prices.
Yeah, here's the funniest thing. I saw the date that I saw it on, and it was my mom's birthday. Like, that's what I did on my mom's birthday. I went to go see Halloween H2O. Like, I forgot that movie opened in August.
Well, it's probably because you thought in your head, like, well, Jamie Lee Curtis reminds me a lot of my mom, so yeah, I'll go see this.
Yeah. I think that was maybe a Friday. Maybe my mom might have still been at work. I mean, if I have any final thoughts about the movie, yeah, like we said, there's things about the movie that don't necessarily work, but like, it constantly keeps you interested in what's going on, and when the shit gets real, it fucking gets real in this movie. Like, it is spooky fucking shit that is happening in this.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good one to like some of the stuff that we didn't talk about, that we purposefully didn't talk about, is stuff that is much better seen cold.
Yeah.
'Cause it was all stuff that was completely not fucking expected.
And this movie does a really good job at that. And I do recommend seeing this in the theater. I absolutely recommend seeing this in the theater.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. And my biggest hope for this, because, I mean, it's an interesting way to continue making these movies.
I hope they do.
But also completely sidestep the second movie, because honestly, that one's in a completely separate continuity.
No, it is, yeah.
But I'm really hoping that maybe next year we'll have a Blair Witch Book of Shadows 2.
Why not?
Where we find someone watching this movie, but then also ghost shit.
Why not? Like, sure.
Just keep going with this model where every other one is outside of continuity, where the movie actually was a movie.
Yeah, it worked so well for the Human Centipede trilogy. Oh, God. You know what? Why not? Sure, I'll be there. I'll be there seeing it.
But it did work for A New Nightmare.
Yeah.
That is a case in point where you can show that it is a model that can work.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather them stick to following along with this, but I do like that they did kind of work in some of the shit that the Blair Witch was using in the second movie.
Yeah, we're working on some of that stuff. Because, yeah, like, considering the number of them in, like, that scene where they're all, like, sitting around the campfire talking, like, it really did more than the first movie. It reminded me of, like, their scene where they're all just sitting around bullshitting around the campfire, like, the first night in that one.
In the second one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I was kind of waiting for a point for them to, like, check the cameras and find out that they'd been doing, like, wacky shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't remember us having a big, like, drug and alcohol-fueled orgy.
I'm so glad they didn't go back to that like they did in the fucking second one. All of a sudden, it turns into, like, this fucking goth music video. Like, that's a severed hand that fell on the ground. God damn, the second one's a piece of shit.
But no, like, I think, like, with the way that they were working with this one, like, it could have made for something interesting. Like some of the characters that you saw, like, get like dragged off or something. It could have been interesting. Was like, it's like, hold on, like, oh, my camera, like oh shit, like I hit like rewind and like it went back a few, like, you know, a few snips. It's like, wait a second. It's like, this is you, like, dragging what's her name, like, off into the woods. Mm-hmm. It's like, I didn't do that. I've been with you the whole time.
I mean, that would have made me think more like, wow, this is really turning into the second one.
I mean, it would have detracted, I think, a little bit from it. But if it had done that, I would have been like, all right.
If it had done that, I at least would hope, like, I really hope this isn't the whole last act of the movie. Like,
and then the police show up and arrest
him. Fuck this movie.
We've got all this footage of you killing all these people.
Candyman did it. I don't even know what next week is. I know at some point we're going to try to get around to seeing The Disappointments Room.
Before it disappoints its way out of...
I double-checked earlier to make sure it was still playing next week, and it is.
We'll be the first people to see it in a week then.
Probably. Like, you don't put that word in your title. You don't want to get a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's like there's all those words that you're not supposed to use in your titles. Like don't put, like, the word stupid in your movie because people will think your movie's stupid. Mm-hmm. That one fucking found footage movie where the title was atrocious.
Yeah.
Guess what? You called it. It's like, yeah, naming, like, when you're looking at the poster for Disappointments Room, it's the biggest word on the poster. From a distance, it's all you can read is the word disappointment as you get closer to it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
It feels like it's just like...
But I guess they couldn't use, like, the room.
Yeah. I feel like it's like that sounds like it's like a theme room at one of those, like, couples hotels where it's like, there's the Roman room and here's the disappointments room. It's where you go when you don't have much stamina. Sorry, honey. Fuck, this is hourly. Fuck.
Doesn't even have a bed, it's just a recliner.
Yeah, and a newspaper. God.
It's like, what were you really expecting?
Right. Go see this. This is really good. See you next week sometime.